So, ladies and gentlemen, if you pay attention to the gaming news, rumors, leaks, that whole world, sometimes so much stuff is happening so fast that even some of the crazier stuff often gets kind of glanced over or doesn't really hit the way it should. And there has been a recent, I'll say, theory about Pokemon games coming over to the Switch, possibly, Switch 2 versions or maybe the Switch, whatever. And these are not the leaks we were talking about a few weeks ago about Ruby and Sapphire. Yes, I know, not everybody cares about Pokemon, and that's fair. I grew up with the franchise. I've been playing it since I was 8. I am now 34, so I'm just attached to it, for better or worse, right? It's actually funny though. I've enjoyed every Pokemon game ever. I beat Pokemon Violet when it first came out. It was atrocious. It was just horrible, but I played through the entire game, beat it in like a week. Recently, I've been trying to replay it on the Switch 2 since it's so much better, and I was like, yeah, this is going to be even better, so I should enjoy it just as much. I don't know if it's like the Switch 2 highlighting like the potential it could have even more, but I cannot play the game anymore. It's horrible. So I need more Pokemon. Now, we got Fire Red and Leaf Green. We have leaks about Ruby and Sapphire coming up. Why would they skip Gold and Silver? Well, they probably wouldn't. So before we get started, if you could hit a like and subscribe, that would truly mean the world. Also, if you could follow me on Instagram and Twitter, well, hey, that would be pretty cool. And let's just go ahead and get right into this. So quickly, I want to recap the leaks about Ruby and Sapphire in case some way, somehow you missed them. But we had Special Nick, who's not more of a game leaker, but more of an industry insider, and who has leaked out a million things, super accurate, say that he heard Ruby and Sapphire are coming to the Switch, and obviously the Switch 2 as well, sometime in September or October. And if you had to guess, how are these going to show up? Well, probably the same way as Fire Red and Leaf Green. In my opinion, second and third generation is the best generation, hands down. The games are timeless, so this is very cool. But why would they skip Gold and Silver? Now, there's a couple of ways we could get this, right? But if they're going to skip Generation 2 and go straight to Generation 3, there has to be a reason. So first, let me show you this theory that's going around, and then I'll back it up with a bunch of leaks that I think a lot of people forgot about. So the most recent hint coming directly from Nintendo was a post over on Twitter where they tweeted a scene from Pokemon Pocopia, and it said, "Make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other is gold." And in that scene that they're setting, they're recreating a bit in Pokemon Gold and Silver's intro, where you'll find your rival peeking through a window in Professor Elm's laboratory. If you've played these games a million times like I have, you know exactly what they're talking about. Now, I believe that was like the 21st, so just a few days ago, right? Now, if you don't pay attention to the Japanese accounts as well, there's also some cryptid stuff coming from over there, because back on August 10th, an official Japanese Pokemon account tweeted an image of the ultimate battle in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, where you confront the original game's protagonist in a mountaintop battle against his uber powerful Pokemon team. So now that we have two kind of like little hints towards Generation 2, both of them coming in 1 month, I would say it's definitely worth taking a look at or a look into. And I know a lot of this is hopium, and I get it. Take everything I'm saying with less than a grain of salt, but come on, baby, we're just here for the ride. Let's see how all this plays out as we get into this video. Now, like I was saying, if they're going to skip Generation 2 and go straight to Generation 3, there has to be a reason. Now, what they could do is eventually give you Heart Gold and Soul Silver when the Nintendo DS app comes to Nintendo Online. That would be the best games ever to get people to hop in right away. I'm not so sure. It could happen, but let's just say for the sake of this video, that's not the route they're going to go. And we're not also getting the game straight ported over like Fire Red and Leaf Green. So what would be the other big option, right? Now, Generation 1 is a generation I've played a million times. The original, Fire Red, but my favorite way to experience it, and I know it's not for everybody, was Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I still think these are the best Pokemon games from the entire Switch generation. I think they're fantastic. I don't know who did the ports, but they did an amazing job. Yes, it's a little easier than the originals, but it's more accessible, and it just feels so charming to play through. I think I beat Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee, whatever, 2 or 3 times, right? Now, I think that was a smash hit. And if I can find the exact sales numbers, which I'm sure I probably could, I'll put those on the screen right now. I think it sold incredibly well. So why only do that for Generation 1, but not Generation 2? It just doesn't make sense. Now, about 2 years ago, I have some articles pulled up right here and some notes. I want to say, okay, this was February of 2024. There was a bunch of leaks going around that Generation 2 was getting this exact treatment. And what's interesting is not only does this article say Pokemon Gold and Silver remakes are headed to the Switch, but in this leak, they also say they would reportedly be the last Pokemon games to release on the Nintendo Switch. And I think as we're transitioning into the Nintendo Switch 2, if we were to get these Pokemon Gold and Silver remakes like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, I think that would be a fantastic dual release. You know, we had Pokemon Legends EA released on both consoles. Pokemon Pocopia is a Switch 2 exclusive. Fire Red and Leaf Green obviously a release through both consoles. But having just one more for the Switch, while the Switch still has a massive install base, I think is just a fantastic business idea. Now, what was interesting, about the same time all these leaks were going around, we also had like cover art, or I guess the logos for the games, and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are remakes of Generation 1. So it just made sense to call it something different, like not Pokemon Yellow, Red, Blue, or Green, right? So if they did this with Generation 2, they would have a different title. And if they continued with the Let's Go title, allegedly it was going to be Let's Go Wooper and Let's Go Togepi. And again, I just think it sounds very possible, and the logos looked so good. I know anybody can make these, but they just look so damn good. Now also, I pulled up this other leak that was going around on April 16th of this year, and it just says, leak alert, Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver will be coming to the Nintendo Switch this fall. Are you excited to play the second best games in the Pokemon series? They're wrong right there. They're probably the first best, but it is what it is. But this is in April. Again, these leaks are kind of popping back up. Now, something else to keep in mind, right? Pokemon Bank is shutting down, I believe, but Pokemon Home will be available for Fire Red and Leaf Green, I believe starting in October. Okay, I'm doing this all off memory. I'm pretty sure if you fill up Generation 1's Pokédex on Fire Red and Leaf Green on the Switch or Switch 2, they give you a Celebi as a prize. Again, I'm doing this off memory, but I'm pretty sure this is correct. Which generation do you get Celebi in? Maroon. There's only one answer here, right? So yes, this is a lot of maybe this is happening, maybe it's not. These leaks could be all BS. But I do think there is a pattern there. And not to pay attention to these patterns when you're looking for some kind of answer, well, that would just be foolish. And I'm just very, very excited for this, right? And don't get me wrong, I could play Heart Gold or Soul Silver right here. I could play Gold or Silver right here. And the way I can do that is through these like hacked ROM things, like cartridges that have like 500 games on them. I have another one right here for the Game Boy Advance. But if the option to play the real games are there, or play them in a remake, if that's there, I'm going to go the official route. Just because I can emulate it or play it through these things does not mean I don't want like the real version. And I know a lot of people will just say, man, I can emulate it. I can play it a million other ways. I can play it on computer, whatever. That's cool. But these generations are great. Having this be a dual release on the Switch and Switch 2, the final Switch Pokemon game, I think makes a lot of sense. And it just feels weird not to have like a real kind of Pokemon game. I know we had Pokemon Pocopia. I know we had Fire Red and Leaf Green. But there's always something like Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, Pokemon Arceus. There's always some kind of real Pokemon game, and it's been a while since we've got one. So I just feel like this is actually something that could happen. And honestly, we don't have to wait too much longer to get an official answer, because if this thing is happening, it's getting shown off in that next Nintendo Direct here in a few weeks, and would release probably in November, something like that. So yeah, we don't have much longer to wait. But obviously, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about this? Because your opinion matters most. Are you excited for Pokemon? Do you still play it? Is Generation 2 the best? And if it's not, why are you wrong in your answer? Just start a conversation down below. And if you made it to this part of the video, if you could do me a favor, hit a like and subscribe on the way out. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter on the way out. And consider becoming a channel member, because it would really mean the world to me. And you guys know me. I'll see you very soon with a new video. Peace.